Saxon Course 2, Lesson 85 is on order of operations with positive and negative numbers. So with this equation, I'm going to first have to simplify it. Okay, so first I'm going to multiply from left to right. I'm going to rewrite the equation so it makes it a little bit easier to see. Okay. So we're going to multiply and divide from left to right. So this first negative 2 is going to stay the same. My addition sign stays. So I'm going to multiply negative 2 times negative 2, which is equal to a positive 4. Because remember, when you multiply two negatives, it equals a positive. Minus, the minus sign comes down. And then I have a negative 2 divided by a positive 2. So when the signs are different, the answer is going to be negative. So we're going to end up with a negative 1. Now we need to add and subtract in order from left to right. So first, I have negative 2 plus a positive 4. So that's going to equal a positive 2. And then I have a minus a negative 1. So when I have a minus a negative, that's going to turn into a plus 1. Okay, so it's positive 2 plus 1, which is equal to positive 3. Okay. Okay, for the next one, simplify and then combine the terms. So first I'm going to separate the individual terms with slashes. The slashes precede plus and minus signs that are not enclosed by parentheses. So we're going to first rewrite it. So I'm going to include these slash signs in between each of the individual terms. So there's going to go one between this multiplication problem, okay, and between this multiplication problem, and then my last term is here. So I'm dividing up my multiplication problems. Okay. So now I can simplify each term. So I end up with, for our first one, negative 3 times a negative 2. Okay. And then I have negative 4 times negative 2 times negative 3. So that's going to equal, if I do negative 4 times negative 2, I end up with a positive 8 times a negative 3. Okay, and then my last term, I have to do the top first, so I have negative 3 times negative 4 equals negative 12. I'm going to divide that by 2. So we're going to simplify it more. So negative 3 times negative 2 is equal to a positive 6. Positive 8 times a negative 3 equals a negative 24. And positive 12 divided by 2, positive 2 equals a positive 6. Now I can go ahead and combine these. So if I have positive 6 minus 24, I'm going to end up with negative 18 plus 6, which is equal to negative 12 as my final answer. Okay, do one more example. I'm going to write it out first. In this case, we only have two terms. We have the negative 2 and then everything in the brackets. So I'm going to draw my slash after the negative 2. So my negative 2 is just going to remain the same throughout the whole problem till we get to it. So now I'm going to worry about what's inside the brackets. So I have negative 3 minus a negative 4 times negative 5. So first I need to multiply negative 4 times negative 5, which is going to equal a positive 20. Okay, so then the minus sign drops and my negative 3 stays here. Okay, then I simplify it further. I have negative 3 minus a positive 20. So in this case, it's going to turn into a negative 3 plus a negative 20. Because remember, with algebraic addition, we change the subtraction sign to an addition sign. Okay, and then the second number switches its sign. So a negative 3 plus a negative 20 is equal to negative 23. Okay, but I still have this minus sign out here that I have to worry about. And my, and my negative 2. So I have negative 2 minus a negative 23. Again, I'm going to use algebraic addition, change this negative, or this minus sign to a positive, and then switch the sign on my 23 and make it a positive as well. So I end up with negative 2 plus a positive 23, which is equal to positive 21. Okay, so this one, we have taken out some of the extra parentheses that we don't need. So I have negative 2 plus 3 times negative 2 minus 2 plus times a positive 4. I'm going to divide up the terms first. So I have the negative 2. I have this positive 3 times a negative 2, and this negative 2 times a positive 4. Now we'll do it step by step. Negative 2 stays the same. Positive 3 times a negative 2 is equal to a negative 6. And then negative 2 times a positive 4 equals a negative 8. Okay? So I end up with negative 2 minus 6 minus 8. So I'm going to get rid of those slashes. So negative 2 minus 6 minus 8 is equal to negative 16. Okay, and that's it for this lesson.